is now streaming live on Facebook. Hi, Facebook.
We're live. I want to apologize in advance for coughing. I don't have the virus. I have allergies.
Okay, we believe you. We believe.
That's good because that's what I'm telling myself. Okay, so today I'm live with Shea Keats, who has many different businesses and ventures and things going on. So it's probably best if you introduce yourself and tell us what you're most excited about that you're doing right now.
What am I most excited about? I truly can't pick one thing. So I am, oh God, actually I don't even want to say this. It sounds so dumb when I say it out loud. So if you've heard of a multi-passionate entrepreneur, I'm definitely one of those. I have a coaching and strategy I can't even speak. Strategy and coaching.
Just blame it on a new symptom of the coronavirus. That's what
I know, right?
Don't talk about that.
Where, yeah, I work with small business owners and a lot of people who are in that second phase of business, right? They've been working for a couple of years on their own, and then they're ready to kind of go to stage two. And I'm just finding there's less and less resources for people who already have been in business for a couple years. You're like, I don't need to do any more stupid mindset work. I don't need to know what a funnel is. I don't need to do how can we support entrepreneurs who've already mastered the basics? So that's really where I am with my coaching and strategy practice. I'm also a founding member of a company called Breakaway Bookkeeping and Advising, which is so much more than bookkeeping. But again, supporting entrepreneurs, supporting small business owners on the financial side. I also have a podcast called Camp Adulthood, which you can find here on the Facebook or on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And that is about millennial life, and particularly the extremes that we have between younger and older millennials. And I think that's the important stuff. So that's me.
Yeah, I love that you have so many different things that you do, and they're all kind of feeding different areas of your creative, I guess, just needs, creative expression. I don't even know how, when we first met, I think I probably only knew about the podcast and didn't really know what else you did. But yeah, I love that you talk about working with people at that next level. And we've talked about before, you see a lot of stuff that's for people who are just beginning, just starting as entrepreneurs. It's like this wide, shallow field of people who are just trying to get started.
Yeah.
And because it is kind of easy to create things, because people who are just starting in entrepreneurship need so much that it's you've been there, so you know exactly what to create. But you work with people who are actually graduating from kind of that level.
Yeah. And I started to realize that, and I'm not going to say that I still don't get value from people who do these things. I mean, I certainly do. Every day I'm I'm not signing up for any more courses. I'm not doing any more 1-hour workshops. And then I do them. And I feel like I do always pick up one or two things, or, I certainly get a value out of them. But when it comes to strategic planning, what they talk about there when you're first starting isn't helpful when you've been in business for a couple years. So I really like to sit down with my entrepreneurs, and I like that they are already very clear on what they do, even if there are places, because I think there's always, for all of us, places where we can clean up and we can be better and we can hone what we do. But once you've been in business for 2 or 3 years, you know what you like, you know what you don't like, you probably know where your boundaries are, and you're very clear on your why. So then it's very easy to build. I mean, to me, I really feel like that's actually an easier place to build from. I mean, yeah, you have to have those first 2 or 3 really terrifying years to get there. But you don't have to spend maybe I should be doing Instagram stories, or maybe I should be doing Facebook Lives, or maybe I should be building a sales funnel. Sorry, this is all the stuff Ashton does and is wonderful at all of them. But there's a lot of that throwing spaghetti at the wall for the first couple of years. And by the time a lot of my clients come to me, they're done throwing spaghetti at the wall. So we can really dig in. They know what works for them. And it's really about utilizing what they already do to make it better. And then diving deep and being like, okay, where can we pull out things that have maybe been ignored and make them stronger in your business.
Yeah, it's like finding the gaps, because you're right. That's a really good, beautiful way to put it, is that the first couple of years, you're just trying whatever to see what sticks. But then later you're like, okay, I actually really liked this and could not make myself do live video or like whatever it is that you totally hate for years. And then eventually you're like, okay, I should just accept that about myself and stop like feeling guilty about it and work on my strengths, like work within what I want to be doing.
Totally. And I think, of course, like there's a certain, you're going to have to make certain concessions, right? Like it's not all fun and games all the time, but there's the whole reason you're an entrepreneur is so that you don't have to do a bunch of bullshit that you don't like. So like, why are you doing that? And I'm kind of saying like, if it's super necessary and you hate doing it and you can't outsource it, then you really need to rethink if it truly is necessary, or like, do you want to be in business? And I hate to be that harsh. But this is actually a conversation I do have with my clients. I wouldn't say all the time, but about their overall business, but certainly about certain aspects of their business. I mean, I would say it with almost every client I've worked with, we've ditched part of their business before we've started adding things on. Because there's just no reason to do it if you don't like it and it's not making you big money, then who cares?
Yeah. And that goes back to, there's so much information out there for people who are trying to build their business that says you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this other thing. And it's like, that's not true for everyone. Maybe that's just that person's expertise and they know it works for them, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for your audience.
Yeah. And I think that's something that really makes me super frustrated about that, that level one space, because there are so many people out there who are doing really good work, but then there's also so many people out there who are charging too much, telling people, which this is so funny because it's like, I'm like, people are charging too much, but then I'm also the one who's always telling my clients to charge more. So I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here, but I feel like there's a lot of this going on, and people just selling clients or selling entrepreneurs things that they don't need, when truly I love when I hear, and it's funny, the people in kind of that coaching and strategy industry that I have sat down with and that I really connected with are the ones who will tell you, don't work with me. You actually need this, or you need to do this first, or come back to me when XYZ, or let me refer you to a friend. And then I feel like there are just a ton of people who are like so scared about not making the sale, right, that they will sell anybody anything, whether or not that person is there, let alone their ideal client, but even appropriate for their program or their service, etc. So that's why I've kind of stepped away from like working with the brand new baby entrepreneurs. Not that I don't love them. I do love them,
but yeah, it's a very different attitude from, I am trying to figure out, like exactly what you said, just being willing to do whatever, sell whatever, go into whatever niche or whatever like comes to you, and just settling for it, versus I work with this kind of people. I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And I'm not going to try to like resituate my entire self to serve this one potential client, because I know that there are clients who are a better fit for me over here. And I feel like this is kind of random, but networking and like actually getting to know other business owners has helped so much with that, because I see, oh, this person would be a great fit for that. And it's just so easy for me to say, I can't help you, but so-and-so can, because that's what they're good at. And I feel like once you set that expectation for yourself, what you said earlier comes back into play, which is you lose a lot of the angst about, should I even be in business? Because if you're doing all of this stuff that you hate, then you're constantly wondering, like, is this even worth it? Do I just need to go back and get a job?
Yeah. And I don't know. I think it's just so interesting. I think the power of the referral is not only wonderful for our fellow entrepreneurs, but this is what our clients need. And that's actually a really big part of my business. is that I do a lot of, okay, and this is also why I like working with people who are at level 2, because it's about sitting down and being like, here are 6 things that need to be accomplished. Here's our goal. Here are the 6 steps to get to the goal. Okay, we're going to outsource. Your budget's X number of dollars, right, to reach the goal. So we're going to outsource steps 2, 4, and 6, and you're going to do 1, 3, and 5. And this is why, and this is who we're going to work with, and we're going to make those choices. So being able to work with entrepreneurs and help them cut through the noise is something that I love doing, and being able to make those choices where, again, when you're first starting out, you're going to bootstrap everything. You're probably not going to outsource a lot of stuff. Although there are a few things I always think everyone should outsource at any level, but that's a whole nother conversation.
I would love to know what those are.
I think everybody should outsource their bookkeeping.
I knew that was going to be the first one.
Yeah.
Preach.
I think it is much cheaper than most people think it's going to be. If you are not going to outsource it, you should get certified in the platform that you are working on. Do not do your bookkeeping in an Excel spreadsheet unless you want me to actually cry. Do a cloud accounting. FreshBooks is really, really great for small businesses and solopreneurs particularly. Xero is probably my next choice. I love Xero personally. That's what I use. That's what my company use. That's what Breakaway uses primarily. But it is better if you're a really tiny business. FreshBooks is great. Xero, and then QuickBooks, of course, is the industry kind of gold standard, but they're kind of they've got their issues, Intuit does. But anyway, but if you can outsource your bookkeeping, even just it is good to maybe do it yourself for a little bit, just so you know your finances. But that is a huge thing that you can take off your plate, particularly if you are selling products. So you have a lot of transactions every month and you're buying a lot of stuff. And ultimately, there are programs, you can work with a company like Breakaway, which you're getting a lot of one-on-one attention. So you have to be at a certain level to get that. Again, it's a level 2 that I'm going to send to Breakaway. But if you're at level 1, there are programs like Bench. They're really awesome that will go in and do that, because this dirty little secret in the bookkeeping and accounting world is it is all AI. So you don't necessarily need to be doing it yourself, because there is literally a robot that can do it, and the robots are getting better and better. So what you want to do is you want to work with a bookkeeper who can interpret that information. And let me tell you, if you are like making dog bandanas, and I don't mean this as a slight, I mean this as like with so much love, why are you I'm sorry, can I say the F word?
Absolutely.
Okay. Why are you fucking worried about your bookkeeping when you should be making dog bandanas, putting them on cute dogs, and photographing them for Instagram? That's a whole day's work. You don't have time to sit down and do this. And it becomes so much about opportunity cost. And then depending on what your level is, whether you're paying for a service like Bench that can just kind of like robot it and send you a report, or you're working with a more of an advisor type person, or even if you've really starting to make bank, a virtual CFO, that person is going to be able to come in and look at the true overall health of your business. And when something happens like international pandemic, you're not going to be fucked.
Yeah. So. And that's also true of so many other areas that people start out trying to bootstrap, but then once you realize how much more efficient it is to outsource it, like you're opening up so much time for yourself, because your brain is your biggest asset. Like, why are you wasting it on something that someone else could do better and faster and give you back your time?
Mm-hmm. And therefore you make, and I truly believe in, you have to spend money to make money, which is really hard when you're in the first couple years of entrepreneurship, and that's all going on a credit card or out of savings, and you're like panicking every time those statements come. But again, outsource your bookkeeping, because you're going to really know. Oh, and you will save a ton of money on your CPA, because they don't have to spend time cleaning up your books. You hand them a beautiful, also get a CPA. Everybody needs a CPA. You hand them a beautiful set of books. It takes them a couple hours to do your easy taxes, and they charge you less. The other thing I recommend everybody outsource is their web design. Yes, Squarespace makes it really easy. They're my preferred template site. So definitely go in there and play with it. But I outsourced my own site. Like even though I'm a kind of a dabbler designer, and I could have done my own site, it was making me effing crazy. So I outsourced it. And it was a very reasonable price, and it was well worth it. And I will probably do that again in another year or two and do a complete overhaul. And it's, you're going to pay between like $2,500 and $5,500 for that. It is not inexpensive, but it is well worth it. Particularly just the education you get. And then the third thing, pending where your zone of genius is I would recommend outsourcing your copywriting. Even if you are a copywriter, it's way easier to have someone else write your copy than for you to write your copy. And I think what people don't realize is if you're going to spend hours agonizing over something and then it's even still not going to be that great, it's really not worth it. And copywriters, there's a lot of them out there, and I think you can find a really great middle ground between ones that are really expensive and the ones that are like charging nothing and ruining it for everyone else. So I think that those are kind of the top three things that I think are really important.
And you're right. It's even if you can just mess with your Squarespace site until it looks great or looks good to you, or you can write your own copy, you're gonna agonize over it because writing for yourself is so much harder than writing with an outside perspective on something that you're able to look at with kind of an uncluttered eye and see what the clients are seeing. Because man, writing for myself is not fun.
It's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah. But so I had another question that came up while you were, and I didn't write it down.
Oh no, sorry.
Oh, I do that. No. I was going to say, so tell us a couple of, we were talking earlier yesterday when we tried to go live actually about just the advice you give people when they're kind of second guessing their next career step.
Yeah. So I didn't mention this when I was introducing myself. I really, really enjoy, so when I don't do level 2 entrepreneur coaching, I really enjoy, I do a little bit of career coaching that kind of actually grew out of some volunteer positions that I had. And then I was like, why am I not getting paid for this? So I do have a career coaching program, and I work mostly with young women who are, again, they're about to transition from that entry level phase to probably their second big job of their career. And a lot of them are very unsure of what to do, right? They have a great degree. They are really talented. They've worked their butt off for 2 or 3 years, but they don't love what they're doing and they really don't know where to go next. And sometimes they are considering, like, do I grow a side hustle? Do I go travel for a year? Do I just suck it up and do the same thing? Do I go to grad school? So I really enjoy doing that. And I take a couple of those clients like that a quarter. So if anyone's interested, I'm going to fill up soon. So FYI. But so I really enjoy doing that. But what I was saying to Ashton is I truly believe that you cannot fuck up your career. Truly, if you like embezzle, or if you're like really like, you studied to be a teacher and now you're trying to be a mechanical engineer, like, yeah, those things, that seems dumb. But it is impossible to make a choice that is going to reverberate so hard that you can't get back on your feet, right? And that's what a lot of people come to me. And I think it's also a little bit of that age, right? Let's say I work with a lot of women between the ages of 24 and 27. So everything still feels very big. Like, every decision I make is so portentous, and then I don't know what's going to happen, and it's going to be terrible, and I'll never get back. What if I make the wrong choice?
Deciding between two pretty good options, or three. They're not like one is terrible and ridiculous and stupid.
Yeah, exactly. And what I just tell people is, like, the jobs are always going to be there. the cities that you want to live in are always going to be there. There's really no choices that you can make that are going to make those choices disappear. So I do really believe in taking these calculated risks. And sometimes we have to figure out, right, when we're coaching, like, what is that calculated risk? What do I want? Because the thing is, at that stage, you're still working through a lot of expectations from your parents or from your community or from your boss, or but you don't often have a ton of responsibility. So, you're going to be able to get a job, right? That's not going to be an issue. You don't have any kids to support, most likely. If you do, we have different conversations about finances. But you're going to be fine. I truly believe it's impossible to F up your career. And I can tell you that because I swerved and pivoted so many times. And it was always fine, right? I went to grad school twice. I have worked in Los Angeles, and I've worked in New York, and I've worked abroad, and now I live in Portland. I've had all kinds of different jobs. And now I'm doing something that's really cool and something that's truly what I love. But if anybody had asked me that 15 years ago, like this, I would not be able to predict this. So I feel like I said this much more articulately, Ashton, when I said it yesterday. It was very like spunky and woo, but now I'm just going on and on. I think a lot of people, I want to be honest that of course I did have a little bit of privilege that allowed me to do that. But that being said, it wasn't a huge amount of privilege, right? I had a family that supported me emotionally. I had a little bit of money saved up, but it wasn't like, I was sitting on a trust fund or something and was able to just flit about. Like, I had to work my ass off. I had to pay all my own bills, and I had to make all my own decisions and all of that stuff. There wasn't, it wasn't always fun, but, it was never a mistake.
Right. It sounds like you were saying yesterday, there are consequences to every choice you make. It's not like you just get out scot-free if you go into debt for grad school and then don't use it. But you can't make one decision that will take you off like the one path that was going to be right for you.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I feel like we, or at least I used to worry about that a lot. It was like, if I, travel to this one place this one time or don't, like, am I just never going to uncover the opportunity that was gonna like make my life? It's not like set up like that. There's not just one path that will get you there. You can keep pivoting and like making small decisions each day that are getting you closer to whatever life you're trying to create.
Yeah. And I think sometimes you don't even know the work that you have to do to get to that place, right? Like, part of the reason I was able to get to the place that I am now is because you do the personal development work, you do the professional development work, you go to therapy or don't go to therapy, you do all of the work. And because you're doing that work along the way, it allows you to end up in a different place, but like there's a lot of work that has to be done. And I think this is maybe the thing. Oh, I just had this thought. Wait, Ashton, this is going to blow your mind, right?
Okay.
So I think when we talk as entrepreneurs or humans, really, anyone who wants to be successful, we talk a lot about the hustle, right? And we think that hustle is always, okay, she's putting in 14-hour work days, or this person is, did 47 sales in 15 minutes, you're thinking that is what hustle means. But I can tell you that's not what hustle is about. Hustle is about doing the internal work that allows you to then hustle externally or not hustle externally, right? Does that make sense? So it's like the hustle might not look like staying up and working a 16-hour day. It may look like I'm going to sit down and journal for 20 minutes about something that I don't want to think about right now. because being able to think about that and get through that is going to allow you to make the decisions for your life or your business that are going to propel you forward to the place that you want to be. So hustling is a lot of different kinds of work, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that I've been learning. I didn't put the word hustle on it necessarily, but just in the form of planning, like especially lately when I don't know when I will be able to leave my apartment again, and you don't know when you'll be able to have a wedding reception. Like,
yeah,
planning is not something, like launching is not something that I can just, that anybody can like definitely know exactly how it's going to go right now. And that is my weakness in the way that hustle feels like this idea that people have to be working those 14-hour days. I feel like I have to know exactly how I'm going to get from here to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, and like create this ultimate way down the line future goal of what I want to be doing. And it's like, actually, I'm learning that it's just kind of the next right thing right now. And it's so much better for my brain. And honestly, working out way better for business too. It's like, it's weird.
Well, it's because you're less rigid and you don't feel like you have to do X, Y, and Z to get to the prize, right? Maybe you do J, L, and B,
or
and
take a
that still
nap.
gets you to the prize. Or take a nap, you know? And I think there's a lot of value in that, especially now when we're, you know, it's so interesting. At my current work with Breakaway, realizing that, there are some days where certain of our advisors are going to work longer days, or I'm going to work a longer day. But overall, it's been amazing to see like what you can accomplish when you're with a company that values rest and family and values the person before the product. And that's just kind of a little sidebar, but I think that's something that we can all apply in our own jobs, right? Our own businesses. You need to value you, the person, because none of it happens without you over the product, whatever your product might be.
Right. I think Denise Duffield Thomas calls it killing the golden goose. Like, if you are, like, you have to respect that your brain, especially if you're a creative person, isn't going to work like a warehouse. Like, you can't just put out ideas every single day at 9 a.m. and expect that to like always work for you. So if you, especially for me, if I respect the times when my brain is not having it, I have so many more like ideas later when I really need them. Sorry for the background noise.
It's fine. No worries. No worries.
Yeah.
I love it.
I feel like there are so many things I wanted to ask you about, but our conversation has been really good, even though there was no plan, as usual.
I like it. Well, I'm always happy to come back another time if you think of more questions. Yay.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
You're so welcome. Yeah.